The Xenomorph species, also referred to as Xenomorph XX-121 or simply aliens, are a creature known for gestating inside of a living host, and which, once emerged from their living incubator, grow at an exponential rate, reaching their full adult size in a matter of hours or even minutes, and then possess a seemingly endless supply of energy. But how does their metabolism support this? Do they have a food source to fuel it? Do xenomorphs eat, and if so, what do they eat? So if we begin towards the beginning of the xenomorph's life cycle, once an embryo has been deposited inside its host organism, the Chestburster stage is known to absorb the host's biomass and nutrients in order to grow itself, in essence feeding on them. This is why once they regain consciousness from their comatose state, the host will display extreme hunger and lack of energy, often feeling physically unwell and drained. But what about the adult alien? How are they able to possess a seemingly unlimited stamina and attack with the ferocity they are known for? How do they secrete as much saliva as they do and produce the hive resin we see lining the surfaces of their territory? The required energy must be made by their bodies somehow by converting mass. Well, there are a few opposing theories on how the xenomorph gets its energy source. Some say that a xenomorph doesn't actually physically eat at all, but rather they absorb it from the surrounding area through the dorsal tubes, similarly to how plants use photosynthesis to absorb sunlight. Another is that their acidic blood provides them with their energy, generating a powerful bioelectric charge by means of chemical reaction, replacing the need for traditional respiration and digestion of food altogether. This would help to explain how the creature is able to survive in the vacuum of space, and also helps to explain how the ovomorph stage is seemingly able to remain dormant for vastly extended periods of time. However, the means by which the creatures may recharge this battery remains a mystery. It is quite possible it simply cannot be renewed, and that xenomorphs will eventually die naturally as a result of this energy source depleting. The alternative is it finding and consuming food like a regular animal. If this is the case, being a biomechanical creature, it is possible it eats both organic and mineral content. The main evidence to support the xenomorph eating is in the movie Alien 3. In one scene, the runner alien can be seen to be possibly eating a dead human. Also in the movie AVP Requiem, during the part at the swimming pool, one xenomorph, after killing someone, repeatedly bites the deceased body with its inner jaw, before itself being killed by the wolf predator. If we take a look at the screenplay for AVPR, it is instead Dale who is killed by the xenomorph in the swimming pool, rather than one of his goons. In this early version of the film, it reads, "Interior high school, indoor swimming pool, night. At the edge of the pool, in the water, there is movement. Mark, did you hear that? Dale, what? The water stirs again, it's moving closer. Jesse, standing above on the platform, can see something black shiny moving fast toward the group of boys in the water. Jesse, get out of the pool, get out. A sudden panic gripped everyone. Fear didn't visit, it attacked. Underwater, alien number 1 swims furiously towards the cluster of 4 young men, a massive eel-like creature with the speed of a torpedo. Ricky, Dale, Mark and Nick rush for the ladder, their movements slowed by the waist-high water. Jesse, hurry now. Underwater, alien number 1 keeps charging, its tail powering it through the water at incredible speed. Ricky, Mark rush to climb up the ladder. Dale is grabbed at the ankles by long inhuman hands and pulled into the water. Dale fights, screaming for help as his body is torn apart. Ricky grabs Jesse and they run. A moment, Jesse looks back, torn about leaving Dale. Ricky, come on. She goes with him. Mark and Nick look back and then run too. The screenplay then goes back between events at Kelly's house and the power plant before returning to the pool. Interior high school, indoor swimming pool, night. A shadow stands watching the alien devour Dale, a predator. The predator, in warrior stance, holds a barbed spear in his hand. Alien feels his presence and slowly turns to look at him, slime and blood dripping from its carnivore's teeth. Those two words specifically, devour and carnivore. And while not an exact xenomorph, in Alien Covenant the Neomorph seems to be eating one of the dead crew members of the Covenant after biting her head clean off in the part where David attempts to interact with it. Also, while not in the final film, in the original Alien, before Dallas enters the air ducts in search of the creature, the Nostromo's crew are investigating a sound they hear coming from where they keep their food reserves. By the time they arrive, however, the alien is gone, but in its wake has left behind a number of torn open and eaten containers of food. If xenomorphs do in fact eat, then with their curious mandible layout composing of a large mouth with a smaller inner jaw, which mouth would they use? Well, they would most likely use the inner mouth, as that is what they use to attack with, and in the previously mentioned scene in AVPR, that xenomorph we do see using its inner jaw. One method speculated by fans is for the alien to use its acid spitting ability, as seen in Alien Resurrection, to vomit some of this substance onto it, then use the inner jaw to suck up the breaking down contents, much in the same way a fly will spit some of its own bile onto its meal, then suck it up with its proboscis. Another is that the xenomorph, when performing a head bite, as it does often when killing its prey, will then suck blood up through the inner mouth, feeding that way. In the video game Aliens vs Predator 2, when playing as the alien, during the Chestburster stage, the player has to find a cat to eat in order to grow into a drone. So what are your thoughts? Do you think the xenomorphs eat solid food such as human meat, or perhaps as omnivorous scavengers, or even, as they are biomechanical, even things like metal, glass and rubber? Or do you think they are fueled by their own acid blood as a sort of living reactor? Let me know. Also, if you enjoyed what you just saw, then give the video a like for the time and effort it took me to make it, and I will see you next time.